And this week's model is another CA3D model, as my hand literally just falls off as I'm doing a little cinematic shot here. I'm not even going to start this in the studio. I have absolutely a ton of cleanup that I need to do because I went overboard on some of the supports here. And yeah, I just have a ton of cleanup that I need to do, but this is your Forger from Spy Family, and this is a model that is produced by CA3D, as I said before. But I'm going to cut the chatter. I have a ton of cleanup that I need to do, so I'm going to put the camera on the stand, and I'm going to get going on all of this cleanup. So enjoy. Alright, coming over to the voiceover, we're pulling out a neutral gray, and this is just going to be my foundation piece for this entire base. I'm going to pull out my handy dandy Gallery 68, which is just the GAD 68, and I really got a good fond liking for this airbrush. I like the pistol grip, and it's really easy to use for these larger base coats. Coming over to my dry brush, I'm going to pull out a sky gray, and I'm just going to use my fatter, shorter little brush here and wipe off all that excess, and I'm just going to go over this entire base to try to get that stony look that I'm trying to look, yeah, I don't even know what I'm saying. I'm just trying to achieve a good stone look here, and that's what I'm going for. And a crowd favorite, deck tint. Just going to use this for some of the highlight tones on the very peaks of all these rocks, and make sure that they have a little bit of differentials so they're not just gray, because gray would be very boring to just look at. And to fill in some of the highlights and some of the cracks and crevices on the base, I'm going to pull out this Griff Charger Gray, put that through my airbrush. This is just my Iwata, and I'm just going to put that in all the actual individual bricks. I need some water, my throat's dry. And pulling out a little of that Tamiya magic in a bottle, I'm just going to pull out this panel liner and put that in some of the cracks to darken them just a little bit more. and give that real depth that I'm looking for. And moving over to our vines, I'm going to make a bold decision and not use the color that I have in my hand, and I'm going to end up pulling out a fern green. This was just in my head. I'm like, I like this color more, and this is actually a color that I ended up using for all the vines all over the place, and then I end up using that darker green on the actual thorns on all these vines. And like I said, there's that darker green, that US dark green. And I'm just going to put this over the little thorns all over these vines because they need some contrast to them. And then I also dry brush a little bit over top of these just to give them a little bit darker look without having to pull any contrast paints out. And instead of using all my deck tan, I'm going to pull out this Pro Acrylic warm tan color. I'm just going to use this as a base coat for all of the roses because roses are red and I need a base coat for the roses because red won't show up on gray that well. So yeah, I'm just going to use this deck tan and it spreads really nice. I'm just going to put this all over before I move on to the red, which I'm going to move on to the red here, which is Blood Angels. I really like this red and it's very vibrant. On camera it shows up more orange, but I promise you it is very, very in fact a dark, nice red. And with the tan underneath, it leaves a really nice highlight, so I don't really have to worry about doing any like highlight tones or really darkening them up because that tan kind of like adds a little bit of accents to it. Swiftly moving over to the cloak, I'm going to use this Gore Red, just so not all the reds are matching all over the place, but I'm going to use this for the inside of her cape, or part of her upper top piece, yeah, whatever you want to call it. I'm just going to use this Gore Red. Went over this like 1 or 2 times, just make sure that it was actually red and not pink, and it'll be good to go. And fun fact, I accidentally broke one of the sword thingies, her little katana blades, so I ended up printing another one. And yeah, I just printed another one and called it a day, printed both of them just to have them. And I'm gonna slap some coal black on here just as a quote-unquote primer because I don't feel like going outside and actually primering these, so I'm just gonna use this as a good primer base and work on it from here. Moving over to everybody's favorite skin tone time. I've been trying to go more of a simpler route for my skin tones. I used to do the pink and the reds and all that, and sometimes I just don't really see it. So I'm just gonna start out with this brown rose as my actual base tone, and I'm gonna put this through my bigger airbrush and just put it all over the skin tones here. I'll do a coat or two just to make sure that everything's nice and looking nice and good. And just for my actual skin tone, I'm just going to use that basic skin tone, basic flesh tone, whatever you want to call it. It just works. I'm going to use my smaller Iwata for this one, just specifically just because it's a highlight tone, and to make sure that I get all the little things on her leg. And here I'm just gonna mix some white ink with that basic skin tone. I already have a little cup with some leftover, so I'm just gonna add some white drops to it to give it a nice highlight. And I'm just gonna spray this at the top of the peaks of everything. Muscles, arms, shoulders, the little stocking things here. And yeah, that's pretty much gonna complete my skin tones for her model, because she is pretty white, and I left some of the pink underneath there, which is a good thing, because that's what you want to do, leave the pinks. Moving on, I'm going to pull out this gloss black, which later means no difference to anything, just use a normal black, but I'm going to use this for her arm slash hand things real quick, and just to repaint the actual blades black before I put the gold down. And here's me just mismanaging time. Not sure why I didn't just use the gloss black. That was already my thing, because it really wouldn't have mattered. But I'm going to do this before I lay down the gold for her katanas, as I said previously. And while that black dries, I'm going to pull out some of that whitish basic skin tone, and I'm just gonna put this on her little nails, because they're literally just a nail like skin color. She has no like nail polish on, so this was an easy choice. And I actually lost an entire clip here. I hydro dipped her little earmuff bun thingies in this liquid gold, so I thought it would be a good idea to use it for the weapons. And I gotta say, don't use this stuff with a brush, because it absolutely sucks. It's definitely an airbrush gold, and I will never brush it again. This stuff absolutely sucks when it comes to a brush, and it took me forever to actually get it to look gold. So yeah, end of story. Back onto our normal track here. I'm just gonna pull out this Vallejo black, and I'm gonna use this for all of her stockings. Yeah, whatever you want to really call these things. Her corset stockings that go over her legs and are squeezing them in this model. I'm just gonna do fine lines upwards and downwards first, and then I'll actually go across on both sides. Just take your time with this. You'll probably have a mess up here too, and just try your best to correct it, because black over a skin tone is a recipe for a bad day, unfortunately. With all of the black on the upper part done, I'm gonna pull out this polished gold and I'm just gonna set a layer or two on her little necklace pendant thing that she has that's in the middle of her chest. And this is going to be my varnish of choice for the entire model. You'll see me do this on the cape later in the video, and I'm just going to spray this over any of the black parts because this will give it a nice sheen look. It kind of, yeah, it's hard to describe. Her stuff is just very leathery slash latexy, so the sand varnish will give it that finish that it looks like in the render and in the show. And continuing on with the bottom piece, I'm just going to paint this in that same black, and then I'll hit it with that same varnish. Rinse, repeat. And from here, I'm just going to start slowly piecing this model together so I have less stuff sitting all over my desk as you get to just look at the back of my head because I keep not moving my camera downwards whenever I'm recording. So I'm sorry about that in advance. Yeah, your head gets in the game and you just keep on grinding. Moving over to the head, I'm gonna thin this carmine red down from Vallejo. I'm gonna use my 0.2 Mobius from Gallery as well. And I'm just gonna put this as her little eyeshadow because the render actually has her eyeshadow being like this reddish color. And my lipstick color of choice is gonna be that Blood Angels red, or the Blood Angels red. Blood of the Blood God. Yeah, I'm just gonna use this for her lips because the skin tones will create like a nice sheen reflection over her lips. For the start of her eyes, I'm going to pull out that Magos purple. I'm going to use this as the foundation piece for before I lay down the white in her eyes, just so she has a little bit of pink in the corners and at the bottom. I won't go crazy. And for her eyelashes and eyebrows, I'm just going to use that basic black again, as well for her hair later on. It's just easy color and it lays down very nicely. And everybody's favorite color that you have to buy an entire set for, which is highlight skin. It's just literally the perfect creamy yellowy white color for eyes. And I'm gonna do a layer or two of this over the entire eyeball. For the inner color, I'm going to pull out this burnt red. I use this in my Rumi model, and it gives it a nice brownish hue to start out the eyes on her, which is a reddish brownish color, if that's what you want to call it. For the middle of her eye, or the brighter part, because you always want to lay it darker to a lighter, I'm going to pull out that same carmine red and do like a, I don't know, 2 or 3 dot layers just to make sure that it's good to go. And then I'm going to put down the black in the middle, and yeah, I'm going to pull out this matte white. It's literally the only time I will use any white in this entire model. And this is just to put our little specular highlight in the eyes. And then I'm just gonna pull out a little gloss varnish, put that over her eyeballs and her lips, and almost, not yet, call this model done. We're almost there. Like I said previously, gonna pull out that black again. I have plenty of that on my palette, and I'm just gonna put this over her hair, and it will literally be one of the last colors. I'm just gonna pull out a gray and do a little bit of a dry brush over her black hair, just so she has a little bit of depth and it doesn't look just bland sitting on a shelf. That gray will give it a nice little shine without making her look old. It's just a good highlight tone. I chose a really dark gray to do this with. And then I'm also gonna pull out that polished gold again and do her little headband to literally round out and finish off this model. And the next time you hear me, I will be literally standing at my desk telling you how I like or dislike this model. And just like that, another model complete, another one that'll go sit on my desk until I get some shelves for over here and can start displaying stuff in the videos. Whew. I really just want to say, I'm happy with this model, but I'm not 100% pleased. As I was working through it and I started laying down certain skin tones and stuff, I started realizing that I needed to do a little bit more prep, and I just failed to do so. I thought I had gotten most of the bumps and some of the marks, and after the primer and stuff, I didn't really see them, but once I started laying down color, I saw those deviations in the color, and I was like, kind of bummed about it. But just because the arms and everything are one piece, they're literally attached to the upper torso, it's like, whatever, I'm just gonna deal with it from a distance. You can't really see it up until you get like right up on top of it, but it is what it is. And just like I always say in all these videos, you learn something every single week, and this model is actually printed right before one of my screens went out, so the UV was a little ups and downs, and it was a hassle. I've had this sit on my shelf for, I don't know, 2 months. Finally got it painted. I'm happy with it because it'll be on my shelf and it looks good. Yeah, I don't really have anything else other to say. I mean, CA3 did a great job. This is one of their older models, and whoever actually did this one, thumbs up to you because you did an absolute killer job. And I can't wait to just get out there and start painting something else. But this weekend is Battlefield 6 release. So yeah, I'll probably be streaming some of that on my YouTube and taking a hiatus this weekend just to sit back and enjoy a little bit of gaming. I deserve that every once in a while. So if you guys liked what you saw, leave a comment, leave a like. And if you're new here, subscribe, because I'm gonna be putting out weekly videos, weekly video, shorts all the time on the stuff that I'm working on, and even going in there and streaming some games here and there. So until next time, as I always say, keep on learning. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one because I have some awesome updates for the channel in general. And I can't wait to share them with you guys. Till next time, peace out. Love you guys. I'll see you next time.